Welcome to our live stream of high school sports. Please note that this broadcast is produced by an independent team of sports enthusiasts, and the views, opinions, and commentary expressed are solely those of the commentators and not representative of the schools, teams, or athletes featured. While we strive for accuracy, occasional errors or misstatements may occur. This stream is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the show.
Yeah, come on, let's go. Hey, you ain't never seen nothing like this. Ain't no telling how it might get. It's the hypest right here. High school sports at its finest. So many highlights, you have to rewind it. Hey, Stream City, let me just remind you. The heart of a lion, the team full of fighters. So many stars on the field, it'll blind you. They're giving everything they got till the time's up. Yeah, legends in the making. History is made. We just getting started. You ain't seen a thing. YSN, gotta know the name. They gon' bring the flames. They gon' do their thing. Take it to another level, don't hold back. High school, got a passion and we show that. Got the drive and you know they got the heart. Number one spot for your high school sports. Let's go for the win. Hey.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to week 12 of the high school football season. Welcome to an Overreaction Monday right here on YSN Live. DJ Yoakley, yours truly, alongside the 8-time best-selling author, also world traveler, also Grammy, Emmy award-winning, Nobel Peace Prize nominated, and as of last night, ladies and gentlemen, up for Man of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up, Anthony Ronald Hartwig. What's up there, Ronnie?
It's been a great weekend and ready to get another week started. Week 12, like you said, and we have a very exciting week. Not only with football, we got a slew of teams in state and other sports with soccer and volleyball. So it's a really exciting week right now, and we're fired up for it on here on a Monday.
It's as big as it gets. And speaking of as big as it gets, let me tell you a little story about last night. If you've been living under a rock for the last 24 hours, my buddy Ronnie put on a little bit of a party last night for the volleyball players across this area. Over 60 invitations were sent out to high school volleyball players all over the YSN coverage area. And boy, did they show up and they showed out. We had great coaches. We had great student athletes. Certainly great fans, and it was a great night for charity, which we raised. You ready? Drum roll, please. Over $2,000 for our friends over at the Rich Center for Autism, and it's all thanks to the people that came out last night and supported the YSN All-Star Volleyball game. Thanks to you and Ty and Rob Johnson, his crew. Yep. I know that Patrick Bryan was there as well, kind of helping out Howard Eastwood.
Yep.
Sam Torres was there. My family was there. Your mama was there. I'm trying to think who else we got.
Dakota Kotzel was there doing the gate, and Mike Swinehart was there making sure people were checked in, and
of course
got their shirts. And of course, our ace photographer Gary Leininger was in the house and probably talking more than he was taking pictures because he's a social butterfly. But
Mahoning Valley Sports was there,
ambassador for YSN. Mahoning Valley Sports, Chris Giovanni. So yeah, we had a lot of fun, a lot of great people involved in it. I think the biggest crowd we've had for a volleyball game. I think I can confidently say that.
Yeah.
It was a packed gym at the Cab, which is really cool to see that gym packed. It's a great atmosphere when there's a lot of people in there.
I've seen that gym packed 3 times now. LeBron James came there in 2003.
Yep.
Anytime you get West Branch and Salem together, that place is jam-packed. And then last night, there was a source of pride last night. And I will tell you this, thank you to Tony in the Salem Booster Club, because what they did last night was they saw what was happening. They knew what we were doing with the donation to the Rich Center for Autism. And they said, hey, we want to help out. We're going to cover the cost of everything here from the standpoint of the gym, the rental fees, the custodians, all that stuff. we're taking care of that. So don't worry about that. Take that money, give it right to the Rich Center, and that's what we did. So thank you to Salem, who, by the way, we inked it last night. Well, I guess we more of a handshake last night. It will be back in 2026 at John A. Cabas Gymnasium. So thank you very much. And certainly we will do, hopefully, even more to raise money for great people all over this this beautiful community that we live in. So thank you to all the fans out there. Thank you to all the volunteers, the people that stepped up when they didn't have to on a Sunday, by the way, which was incredible. So, but as much as I can sit here and you and I can sit here and talk about the Volleyball All-Star Game until our face turns blue, it is Overreaction Monday, which means only one thing. We are joined each and every Monday by a guy who spent 10 weeks in the broadcast booth and then, boy, like a National Geographic photographer, pops out of there, and he is lighting the world on fire with some unbelievable pictures all over SmugMug that really tell a story. And I'm not being artsy-fartsy because I'm not that guy. Greg McAfee is that guy. Some of the best pictures we've seen in a long time. So at this time, not only is he good at photography, he's good at breaking down the matchups, and he is the reason for Overreaction Monday. So ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our very own professor over at the University of Mount Union. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, award-winning, Pulitzer Prize-winning, and now Canfield Fair Blue Ribbon Award winner, Mr. Greg McAfee.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Pal, when you told me you love shooting on the sidelines, you did not tell me what an animal you were and how well received that was going to be. Great job, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I mean, it's something I've always enjoyed doing, so I was excited to get back into it. That is for sure.
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, goodness. You were all over the place on Friday night from a standpoint of that field. I mean, you had a great interview post-game with Clark Rutledge, which we'll get to in a little bit. But you were always in the right position. For those people, the aspiring videographers, photographers out there, was it luck or you just kind of knew what was going to happen? Because you got better than anybody, any of the news organizations. You had that game-winning touchdown 2-point conversion locked tight.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I was always in the right spot because there's definitely some plays that I missed. But yeah, I mean, it's a feel. I mean, when it's like when you've been doing it for so long, you have a lot of experience, you kind of know the flow of the game and everything like that, so you know the best places to stand. I mean, there are a lot of times it's luck and the play kind of just, falls right in front of you. I would say, I think it was RJ May's third touchdown, I can't remember which one. But he caught it like right in front of me. So I was in the right spot at the right time at that point. And then for Clark's, game-winning touchdown, not game-winning, but his last touchdown and then his 2-point conversion, it's, when the ball's within the 5-10 yard line, it's always good to be in the back of the end zone. So I knew exactly where I wanted to be when they got that close, and I was just in the right spot at the right time.
You nailed it, man. I'm proud of you, and you can get Greg's pictures on our SmugMug photos page. So all you got to do, literally go to ysnlive.com, just click on the photos, top right-hand corner. You can get to those pictures, which are, I mean, again, good. We got some good photographers, but buddy, you told the story. I mean, we could put a magazine together with, and you wouldn't even have to have words on it. You did it such a great job. So congratulations, Greg. A lot of big wins and a lot of tough losses on Friday night, which sets up some great matchups. Let's get some overreactions, shall we? Let's start right here, where boy, oh boy, what did Daddy tell you? Daddy told you JFK was not going to go away after that 0-5 start, and a lot of chatter on Thursday, Friday of last week, people counting out JFK, and yet here we are again, G-Money, 42-27 victors, on to the next round, which just so happens to be the McDonald Blue Devils just waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of looking through all the matchups this morning, and I was looking at this specific matchup, JFK McDonald. It's one that I'm kind of have my eyes on. I would hate to be on the other side of a JFK team that's won 6 straight. And I know McDonald has been there, done that. They've had a lot of success this year. They're obviously still undefeated, perfect kind of know, and they're the top seed in Region 25. But when you get a team like JFK who has a history of winning and who has seemed to figure things out here late in the season with 6 straight wins. That's a dangerous program to be on the other side of. And earlier in the year, I can't remember which game I called one of their games. I believe it was against Liberty earlier this year, and they had a different quarterback at the time. And Provit has stepped up under center, and that dude he's a game breaker. He's a guy that we haven't really mentioned a ton of this year, but I mean, as you can see by the highlights, he's able to dance around the pocket. He's able to extend plays. He's able to use his legs, and then he has a cannon for an arm as well. And you don't want to be on the other side of that in the playoffs because anything can happen when we have a player like that on the field.
And you look at Stephen Thomas in the backfield.
And you got Stephen Thomas in the backfield. I mean, they got players all over the place that can really change a game. And I think Friday is going to be an interesting one at the McDonald Athletic Complex. That's for sure.
Why is it that we're still surprised, the majority of people, when it comes to we're in JFK, and because we know the schedule they play, we're very, very well acclimated with what this team is during the regular season against what the team is in postseason. Why is it that everybody continues to be surprised with those guys with the K's on their helmet?
Yeah, I mean, it's when you have a winning tradition like that, it's the roots are there. I mean, the roots of any successful program are there. And I think with JFK this year, it was more about figuring out who they are and what makes them the best possible team to put on the field. And I think they're, through those first 5 games of the year, they obviously played a lot of tough competition. And in the second half of the season, they really figured out who they are and what works best for them. And I think that's the best thing about high school sports. It's a 10 game regular season for a reason, and teams can get hot at the right time, and they can be playing their best football at the right time as the postseason approaches. And I think that's what you're seeing with JFK right now. I mean, they got guys everywhere. Like I said, Provit's one of them, Thomas is another one, and that's a pretty deadly duo in the backfield for sure.
But you look at 42-27, and it didn't feel that close either. If what I was looking at on tape.
Yeah,
am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I think they went up early, and they kind of just I wouldn't say like huge, didn't go up huge, but they were able to just put it away. They kept their foot on the gas in the second half and were able to put it away. I mean, with some of the plays in that highlight, there was the play where Provit was running around the backfield looking for an open receiver downfield, and he found one for like a 15-20 yard gain. And I mean, that's the type of stuff that is just electric and can really build momentum in a game. And, I think JFK is for real. I don't think their number 8 seed really shows how good they are. And I think there's a lot of teams in the playoffs with the exact same kind of mindset.
I mean, obviously, McDonald not going to back down to anybody.
Yeah,
but
no, not at all.
If you're McDonald, you're sitting there wondering, okay, what do we have at hand this coming Friday in the Devil Dome? What are your expectations for this game, which we will certainly have, JFK versus McDonald? What are your expectations for this one, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, I think McDonald is one of those teams where when they're operating on all cylinders, they're very, very hard to beat. I think we saw a couple close games earlier this year against Lowellville and Springfield, and just from looking at the tape, it didn't look like it was the McDonald that we've known to come and play. I mean, I've said it a couple times on here. They got guys everywhere. They got obviously Kyle Puckett under center. They got Drew Zajac and Casey Miller in the backfield, Preston Van Meter as well, and then they got 2 dogs on the outside, and Jordan Perry and Josh Crumpack. And so they have the ability to do everything. And in the offense that they run, they've run this like wing T offense for a long time. I mean, Dan Williams has made it his bread and butter over 25, 26 years in McDonald's. They went away from it for a couple years and went to the spread, and then they came back, and they've really made it their own over the last 2-3 years with this group of seniors. And I think it's finding the balance of run and pass for McDonald elite, especially with the 2 athletes they have on the outside and Crumpack and Perry. And if you can find that right balance, you're going to be really unpredictable against teams. They can't stack the box against you. They got to respect the guys on the outside, because if you get Josh Crumpack, I mean, he's a guy that can stretch defenses. And then Jordan Perry is one of those guys where if you get him the ball in his hands, he can make a play. I mean, you saw it on their first touchdown against Mineral Ridge where he was kind of wide open in space. But I mean, JFK is a team you can't overlook. They're really good. They've obviously figured things out. They got athletes all over the field. I think it's going to be a really, really exciting game.
And Greg, you can expand on this, but I think this is one of the games that we're going to see how much of an advantage strength of schedule really is, because
Mhm.
no shade at McDonald, they just haven't played the schedule that JFK has played. I'll never throw rocks at a team that just plays the people in front of them and beats people in front of them, because that's all you can do. There's an extent to how much you can control who you're playing.
Yeah.
So McDonald went out and took care of business. So no shade to them. But JFK's played a bigger schools, bigger schedule. So we're
Yeah.
going to see this week kind of how much of an advantage that really is in the trenches here in week 12.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it on here before, in terms of who you like to play throughout the season, how you like to prepare for the playoffs. I've heard a bunch of different opinions from a bunch of different coaches of how they like to get their teams ready. Some with that non-conference schedule at the beginning of the year, some schools like to schedule up and really test themselves against really good teams from around the area. And then some schools, play similar size schools and similar size teams. So it's a difference of opinion. I've always been of the mindset that you want to test yourself. You want to, if you can compete against the best teams in the area, you can compete. And obviously, I think earlier this year with JFK's non-conference schedule, they really challenged themselves. They played some games against a couple of big schools, and it's proved out better for them down the home stretch of the season. But you can't, like you said, Anthony, you can't shade McDonald. They're a very good team. They're despite obviously you can't pick your schedule in terms of conference schedule or anything like that, but they are a very good team. They have a lot of great athletes, and I think they're in the position they are because they're a very, very, very good team.
Sorry about the camera switch. I messed that one up. Was trying to go to the fancy cam and didn't make it. On to the next game, one that Greg, we kind of were all eyebrow raised when we were looking at the scoreboard on Friday night. But I'll tell you what, just because we didn't get it officially on YSN didn't mean that Salem didn't show up and show out. They certainly did against Canal Fulton Northwest. And as Anthony put in the social media, they reset the compass there on Northwest with a 25-15 or 21-15 victory. For the Quakers, the reward isn't necessarily exactly what they wanted, because they go to Glenville, which everybody knows. But how big of a victory is this for Ron John and the program over in Salem?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge. I mean, I think they're better than a number 10 seed, to be honest. They've beat a lot of very good teams this year, and they've played a tough schedule. I mean, we talked about their game against South Range. They obviously finished the year with West Branch, which are two teams that are very good in the area, and they played a tough schedule. And this is a good Salem team. They have a great quarterback under center. They have a lot of good running backs, a couple good wide receivers on the outside. Cleves Monroy. They're a very good team that can do a lot of different things. And Ron Johnson's one of the best coaches in the area. He's been doing it for a long time. He knows how to get his teams ready. But they, like you said, DJ, they got a very, very tough matchup on Friday. I mean, Glenville's a team that has 3 losses, but they're to Avon, St. Ed's, and Hopen, and we all know how good those programs are. But I don't think Salem is ever a team you can really count out. They can do a lot of different things, especially when you have a guy like Ron Johnson leading the way. What
would a victory against Glenville say about this program that we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Quakers over the last 7-8 years?
I mean, I don't think there would be a word to describe it. I mean, a win over Glenville, who are I would consider state championship favorites. They're a team in that type of conversation. So a win for the Quakers on Friday would be a huge boost for the program, a huge boost for the community. I mean, it would be everything. I mean, my wife's from Salem. I know what Salem's all about, and it would be huge for that community for sure.
Okay, we got to move on to this one, man. This was the one you were at. You'll be able to chat up this one for a while. But I'll tell you what, out of all the games on Friday night, this had to be one of the most electrifying games. There have been, to this point, before Friday night at 7 p.m., there was one playoff victory in the history of East Palestine in 2002. Smitty Kendrew, J.D. Powers, all the greats, which one day I'm sure will be enshrined in the East Palestine Hall of Fame. They had the only victory in East Palestine history in playoff lore until Friday night, when Clark Rutledge and company take to the field, their own field, Reed Memorial Stadium, and come out with an electrifying 36-35 victory. Greg, it came down to basically the last possession. What did you see on Friday night from the Bulldogs?
I mean, it was crazy how this game played out. I mean, it was 7-7 at halftime, and it was two teams kind of battling through, mistakes. Like there was 2 interceptions in the first half for East Palestine, and they traded turnovers at the end of the first half and tied at 7-7, and then it really turned into a shootout. I mean, it was East Palestine would come down and score. I think there was a moment where, Rutledge hit RJ May with his second touchdown of the game, and then Timmy Sorensky returned the ensuing kickoff for a touchdown. Nate Alexander, Western Reserve, had 2 60-plus yard touchdown runs that kind of just came out of nowhere, and those were the plays I was talking about that I kind of missed because, we're down in East Palestine territory, and all of a sudden he's in the end zone at the other end of the field. And it was just a back-and-forth battle, and you could tell when the game came down to the line. I mean, Clark Rutledge, like I mentioned, he threw 2 interceptions in the first half. The kid bounced back like nothing affected him. I mean, he was slinging the ball all over the field in the second half. He obviously, created a great relationship with RJ May over their first 2 years. And he's really just he really settled in, came down, had a 9-yard touchdown run to tie it. I think it was at 28. And then East Palestine drives back down the field, and he punches it in from a yard out and then goes for the 2-point conversion. I was talking to him about it after the game. I was like, what's kind of the mindset? And, Coach Mike Dempster said as soon as they got the ball back, they knew they were going for 2 if they scored. And I don't think you would expect anyone else other than Clark to have the ball in his hands. And, I asked him about it, and he was like, I wanted that ball so badly. I wanted it so badly. They're lining up for the 2-point conversion. I was like, he's definitely going to try to run this in by himself. And he credited his offensive line, who, was a big question mark coming into the year. And they gave him that push to get in the line, get into the end zone. And then, as you just saw from the highlight, I mean, the huge thing at the end of the game, Western Reserve's driving. They get the ball around the 40-yard line. Ball pops out. Bulldogs recover, and game over from there. I mean, it was a back and forth battle. I remember I was walking up and down the sidelines talking to one of the other reporters, and I was like, when did this game turn into a shootout? It flipped on its head almost immediately, and we were just, running up and down the sideline. It was crazy. I mean, it was another one of those games this year where I'm like, I didn't necessarily go in expecting it to be like that, and turned into a 1-point game with the third 2-point conversion I saw to win the game this season.
And that's the crazy thing, Greg. You said it wasn't a walk-off 2-point conversion. Western Reserve got the ball back, looked like they were driving on poise to kind of go in and take the lead. The defense comes up with a turnover. That was a big, obviously that's the game-winning play, and I think it gets overshadowed by the 2-point conversion. But that defense stepped up when Western Reserve was doing all they wanted to in the second half. One last drive, one last stand, bend, don't break. This East Palestine defense stepped up when the team needed the most, because if Western Reserve scores there, it's pretty much game over. The clock was running down. So that's a big play by the Bulldog defense.
Yeah, and I mean, East Palestine had forced 2 turnovers in the first half. I know Zach Schnell recovered a fumble in the first half, and then Tanner Morrow picked off a pass at the end of the first half. Western Reserve was trying to drive. They threw kind of a Hail Mary to the end zone, and Tanner Morrow picked it off. And then they got that. I mean, that was the first time that I think East Palestine kind of stopped Western Reserve in the second half, and it was in a huge moment. I mean, game on the line. They got to come up with a stop there. And they do. And you could see the excitement on everyone's faces. They knew what it meant. The kids, the players, all on the sideline excited. The fans were going crazy behind us. And you could just see what it meant to Coach Dempster, to the players, to everyone that was at Reed Memorial on Friday.
You look at what is awaiting East Palestine on Friday. You head to Mogador, which is about an hour away from East Palestine. Mogador is a 9-1 team, Greg, and they are tough. They're a run-heavy team, probably 90% of the time. Everything that I've collected from a standpoint of scouting, and boy, when you look at some of these matchups in the second round, they're not favorable, but that's why they play the game, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Mogador is one of those programs that's had historic success. I mean, they're always one of the top teams in the area. And they're always a tough out in the playoffs in the postseason. They won 7 straight this year. Their last loss was on September 5th to Dalton, 28-19, and they just beat Richmond Heights 42-22. And they're a tough team. But if I learned anything about East Palestine on Friday, it's that this team's got a lot of grit. They got a lot of fight. They never thought they were out of it. They never lowered their heads and, accepted defeat or anything like that. So I think they're going to be up for the challenge, and they definitely got a lot of gamers on both sides of the ball. I mean, we talked about Clark Rutledge, but there's Dak Schnell in the backfield, Braden Plum, Tanner Mowry, RJ May. I mean, they got guys everywhere. And this defensive line, they're motivated, they're ready to go. And it will be an interesting matchup on Friday.
This is a matchup between one team in Mogadore that's kind of always in that regional conversation, always kind of a powerhouse in the region.
Yeah.
And then East Palestine is trying to make their longest playoff run in program history. Sometimes that could be advantage New Kid because you're not taking anything for granted. You want this more than anybody. Not saying the Mogadore necessarily takes things for granted that you don't get to be a program like them by doing that. But at the same time, sometimes that could be an advantage to New Kid on the block, right? Where they want this like worse than anything. This would be history made for this program.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, there's the second playoff win in program history. At this point, that's a huge accomplishment. I think this team has higher expectations for themselves than just one playoff win. So they're definitely going to be motivated to get the job done and go into, they're not going to be, they're going to be ready to go. I'll say that. And they're motivated. They're ready to, obviously leave it all out on the field. And, with the team they have, anything is possible.
You look to the next game that we have to cover. And Greg, I mean, this was the one that I texted you on the way back from my game. There were so many people outside of Boardman saying Spartan City is done for the year. They might as well not even show up. And then here we go. Spartans show up. They show out. They go on to a 38-28 victory. Talk to me about, obviously we didn't have the game because Spectrum was in there, but you've seen the Spartan team quite a few times and quite a lot this season. What stood out to you about the success that Boardman had on Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, Boardman's another one of those teams that I think they're better than what their seeding is. They have a lot of talent. Vince Butto is a great quarterback. I think he's underrated for what he's able to do. They obviously like to run the ball a lot, but he can throw the ball when they need to. And they got a couple guys on the outside that are really good. They're sharp route runners. And they can get open space, find holes and zones. And then they got a couple of very good running backs in the backfield that can tote the rock. I mean, Ryan Smith is very, very good. Frank Butto, Vince's younger brother, he's a pounder, and he can take contacts. And then they got guys all over the place. I mean, DJ Dota's, one of the better coaches in the area as well. And they were motivated after that Canfield win. I mean, they were never out of that Canfield game. I mean, you would expect against an undefeated team like Canfield that, they might just accept defeat or whatever. But this Boardman team is motivated. They're ready to go. And I think they're a lot better than what their record says. And, it could be dangerous. They could be a dangerous team for the rest of the playoffs.
This was one of the best offensive performances we've seen on Boardman. They've been winning with their defense, with offense kind of coming up in big situations. 38 points is a consistent offensive performance. Do you think this Canfield win maybe found their offensive rhythm, found their offensive momentum going forward? And how dangerous does that make the Spartans if their offense is clicking on all cylinders, knowing what their defense can do?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the defense has been pretty good all season long. The wing T offense that Boardman runs is tricky. They can mix and match and do different things, especially when, they're getting ready to throw the ball and utilize their weapons on the outside. But they got size across the line. They got a couple running backs in the backfield. And they've obviously found a rhythm. And that's the best thing about high school football is, as the season goes on, you start to realize, what your teams can do and what works best for you. And when you hit the playoffs, that's, I've talked to so many coaches from around the area that it's like the goal is not how we start, but how we finish. And I think Boardman is one of those teams that's really just are hitting on all cylinders right now, and they're playing their best football when it matters most.
We talk about these, the first time ever that the OHSA has done 12 teams with the first set of teams getting a bye, the top four. I mean, last week was just an appetizer, if you really look at it, Greg, and now it's the main course because you've got Boardman heading up to Akron to take on Archbishop Hoban, two YSN teams going at it. Not necessarily a slam dunk for Hoban at this point. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, Boardman is one of those teams that can be tricky in the playoffs, especially when they're starting to hit their rhythm and play good football on both sides of the ball. I haven't really seen much of Hoban this year. Obviously, their resume speaks for themselves. They've had some huge wins this year, and they're the number 1 seed for a reason. And obviously, they've had a lot of success. But Boardman is one of those teams that you can't really overlook because they can catch you by surprise. And with the talent they have, the senior leadership they have, anything can happen with the Spartans. And obviously, Hoban is a very, very good team. They've had the success for a reason, and it's going to be an interesting one on Friday.
I will give you a Mike Swinehart stat of the day that he cooked up last night at the volleyball game. Hoban has been beaten by Boardman 3 times in history of the matchup. So we're not saying, but there could be a chance. There's a chance.
Sometimes programs have trouble with other programs, just with the familiarity and everything like that. So, I mean, I'm not counting out the Spartans after heading into that Canfield game. Everyone probably counted out Boardman. If we would have had our picks on that Thursday, DJ, I will tell you right now, I was picking Boardman to upset Canfield. I think it's just they're one of those programs. They're playing at a different level of football right now, and I'm excited to see what happens on Friday.
Yeah, and you take away that Twinsburg game for Boardman, then they might even be a higher seed in that playoffs, and maybe they're not playing Hoban in week 2.
Exactly.
We're on to the next game, Liberty. I mean, this goose was cooked from the jump. It felt like I just cut the highlights on this one. Greg, when you think about Tutwiler and Moody and all the weapons that Liberty has, this was an exclamation point for the Leopards, no?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that duo all year long, and they continue to impress week in and week out. I mean, they're 2 of the most dynamic running backs in the league, in the area. They can break a play at any moment. I've seen it so many times that it's not really a surprise at all anymore. I mean, you see what Moody does, you see what Tutwiler does. They can really, break a big play like that at any time. They can score from anywhere on the field, no matter where they're lined up, or any field position is good field position with this offense. And I think the defense is just as good, to be honest with you. I mean, they play physical. Don Prologo is a defensive coach, and he has his guys ready. He has his guys motivated. And, they play Poland on Friday, and, we're talking about overreaction Monday. I think the Leopards have the firepower to beat Poland. And I'll say that right now. Like I would, if we were doing picks this week, I would pick Liberty. I think they're a team that is, I think they have 2 losses this year, and both of those losses were by a combined probably less than 10 points or something like that. I mean, they lost to Garfield on a PAT attempt, and they lost to Crestview late, which are 2 really good teams. Crestview is still undefeated, and Garfield's the number 4 seed in the playoffs. So this is a team that I would not count out whatsoever. I think they're very, very good.
And you look at the special teams right here. I mean, that was a punt return that just the blocks, and we talk about the skill guys a lot, but the big uglies are getting it done over in Liberty as well. Because I think Coach Prologo knows that you're not going far if you can't get the big boys to move mountains up front.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've had good blocking up front all year long. The offensive and defensive lines are pretty talented. And, I mean, these guys just play well together. They're a motivated group. And when you have 2 special athletes like Tutwiler and Moody in the backfield, who are just juniors, mind you. Like, I mean, this is something that we get to watch for another year next year. It's special. And I'm really excited to see Liberty play Poland this weekend.
When I think about this Poland-Liberty matchup, I think one of the things that I'm interested in is, can Poland keep Liberty from the big chunk plays that we're seeing in this highlight? Those big, because this play right here, this game was kind of a stalemate in the first quarter. No one was really doing anything. Offenses were struggling, and then all of a sudden Moody hits on this 60+ yard touchdown catch, which was really just a swing pass screen to the boundary with good blocking on the outside. But can Poland make Liberty drive down the field methodically to score instead of these big chunk plays? I think that's going to be one of the big keys for the Bulldog defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw it a lot in Poland's game against Girard. Obviously, Girard has scored on those huge chunk plays this year, and they've really taken advantage of it a lot. And Poland didn't really let it happen. I mean, and Poland's a very good defensive team. Tom Pawlansky is going to have the Bulldogs ready to go, and they got guys on the defensive side of the ball that can really keep up with athleticism like this. I think Poland's it's going to be a very good game. Poland is a very good team. They got athletes all over the place. Vito Kamara, Pano Zipolita, Chase Jones, and those guys. A lot of those guys play two ways, and it's going to be a very good game.
So when you're talking about the difference in the game coming up, well, the difference in this one was obviously the skill players. What do you think the X factor is going to be? No pun intended for the Zipolitas. But what do you think the X factor is going to be this Friday when it comes down to things in Poland?
I think it's going to be Poland controlling the line of scrimmage. They obviously have two very good running backs over there. Angelilli and Chase Jones are, I think, two very good running backs. And if they can get their running game going and eat the clock and keep Liberty's offense off the field, I think that's going to be a huge, huge opportunity for them if they can limit the scoring, because obviously Liberty can, break big plays whenever, in the blink of an eye. And I think that's how they take control of a lot of games, is just by those big plays, and limiting those big plays and controlling the line of scrimmage is going to be huge for Poland.
So when you think about on the other side, Poland with a bye, we've talked about these bye weeks, how it's going to affect teams. I don't think this Liberty team is someone you want to play off a bye. How much do you think the bye is going to really factor into the storyline this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think the buys are a huge thing. I mean, but it depends how you look at it. I mean, a lot of coaches in the area, they'll look at it different ways. Some want to keep their guys on the field and keep their rhythm and keep their schedule that they've had all year long. And some teams, when it comes to a bye, they need it. I mean, like you're looking at Cardinal Mooney, who had a 2-week bye, and obviously didn't have a play and didn't have a game in week 10, and then they come into the first round of the playoffs and they get a bye from the number 1 seed. So I think it's going to be huge, but it just matters kind of how you treat that bye, and you got to keep the intensity up. Some coaches like to keep the rhythm, and some, you have injuries and everything like that. You need to give kids time to recover and be able to play at their top level. And so I think it will be different, but it just depends how you look at it and how you let it affect you in a way.
We're going to quickly glaze over this Geneva win because, boy, they came in as underdogs, but they left as properly jocked.
That eagle has muscles for a reason. Look at that.
Goodness gracious. Now, we've been hearing – I got to sit with Sam last night and talk a little bit. We've been hearing there's some unfortunate news coming out of Geneva, Greg, but a showing like this – obviously says something about the program. When you move forward, I believe the lone representative from the 440 from the YSN banner. So when you think about a win like this, what does it do for the Eagles? Perry, sorry.
They had the bye.
Yeah, I mean, I think a win like this is huge. I mean, Alliance is no easy team to get past. I mean, they've lit up the scoreboard this year. They've played a couple close games, and they got guys all over the place. I think I said on here last week that because Alliance plays at Mount Union, a lot of my students have gone to Alliance games this year. So I've learned a lot about the Aviators throughout the course of the season. And they got a bunch of athletes, and they got a bunch of dynamite type players. But I think Geneva is. I've said it a couple times already. I think Geneva is better than what their record shows. Yeah. I mean, they're a team that relies on the running game, and they're the physicality of their team, and I think that's something that can speak volumes in the playoffs. And they showed it in week 1, and they showed it in the first round of the playoffs. And I mean, a win over an Alliance is a huge, huge win for the Eagles.
And then finally today for Overreaction Monday, the last but not least. Boy, oh boy, South Range Raiders, they showed up, they showed out, and it looked like a completely different team than we've seen all year long. They commanded every single side of the football, offense, defense, special teams. You said it, Greg. I mean, this playoff experience is playoff experience, and it's the only way to get it is to have playoff experience. What did you like about the Raiders in this win over Berkshire?
Well, what Nick Toy had 4 or 5 touchdowns or something like that?
Oh, yeah, 78-yard touchdown to set the tone.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it last week. I mean, South Range is one of those teams that you don't want, like, no matter what their record is, no matter what type of seasons they've had, if they get in the postseason, they have that experience and they know what to do. They know how to have success. They know what leads to success. And the Raiders are one of those teams where I feel like if they can, figure things out, they're going to have they're going to be a team that you don't want to face. And they get a rematch in round 2 against top seed Cardinal Mooney, which a couple weeks ago came down to a pick 6. at the end of the game. And, you know, I think I texted you then, like, I can't wait to see, I hope I see that rematch in the playoffs. And I think it's going to be very interesting on Friday. I think it's going to be a battle between two really good teams. And the Raiders seem to be hitting their stride right now.
Literally right there. 78-yard touchdown. Nick Toy catching his stride. I mean, you think about the weapons that South Range has that, and I'm going to say the same thing that I talked to Dave Rock about this morning. That Hubbard game, we saw a lot of the sophomores grow up into leaders.
Yeah.
Dave Rock said, hey, listen, our freshmen are sophomores, our sophomores are juniors, juniors are seniors, and seniors are fifth-year guys right now, taking advantage of the ride that they're on. You look at this, how much over the last 3 years, right, 2 years, how much does that experience in the postseason matter when it comes to the next season and getting those extra reps, even if it comes a year later?
So much. I mean, I remember talking to, back when I was at my former job, I remember talking to Sean Guerrero during, Springfield's, when they had Bo Brungard and all those guys, and just kind of how much those deep playoff runs helped the younger players, because like you said, DJ, they get those extra reps in practice. They get the experience, the atmosphere in the playoffs, because, obviously the regular season is the regular season, but the playoffs, the atmosphere is different. I mean, the season is on the line when you get into the postseason, and just being able to experience that and just and know what it feels like to be in that situation, be in that environment is huge. It calms the nerves. It helps all of that. And when you're a younger player, when you know what it feels like heading into the game, when it's your time to shine and it's your time to contribute, it helps so much. I think it's invaluable, the amount of how much that experience helps. And I think the Raiders are starting to see that heading into round two.
You talk about the matchups, it's hard to beat a team twice, but it's also a situation where Mooney kept some of their cards on the table from a standpoint of they had like 5 or 7 guys, I believe is some of the conversation that I've heard, injured, did not play that first game. Dom Letlow being the biggest, Ike Lake being just as large, and some other big names. Ty Wilson was unable to contribute. When you think about what Mooney has still kind of close to the vest playing the next hand, what does Mooney have advantage-wise that South Range has to look out for?
Yeah, I mean, we at the beginning of the year, it seemed like we were talking about Ike Lake every Monday. I mean, he's definitely one of the better running backs in the area. And he's a guy that can break a game wide open if you put the ball in his hands. And so that's a guy to kind of keep an eye out for. And then you talk about Letlow too. He's one of their better players. And has obviously has had a huge impact on a lot of their games this year. And when you throw just those two type of players into the mix, it can change a lot of things. So seeing how it's almost like it's a brand new game. It's almost like, you take the results from a couple of weeks ago and you throw them out the window, and you got a game plan for a whole new team.
Can you learn anything from the tape from the first game?
I think in a way, you can learn a different thing, but when you can learn different things, but when you throw a guy like Ike Lake into it, it can have a whole new game plan. So I think you gotta combine a few different things. You gotta, look at, back at the beginning of the year with what they were doing with Ike Lake and see how they might attack you this time around. So I think you got to take more away from, what they were able to do earlier in the year. And still, I mean, the mistakes you made the last time they played. I mean, I think that's a huge thing. You got to learn from your mistakes. There's the saying, you learn more from losses than you do from wins. And, I think this is one of those situations.
You talk about this South Range team coming into it and the experience they have, but also I think we saw in this game getting off to better starts. I talked about it last week. The Mooney game, rough start, made it competitive down the stretch. Hubbard game, a rough start. They came back to win that game. This game, there was a consistent Raiders team. Yeah. What do they have to do to keep that consistency and get it off to a fast start again and make sure they're not waiting until the second half to make a comeback like they did the last time they played Cardinal Mooney? Yeah,
I mean, it's exactly like what you just said, Anthony. It's getting off to a better start. It's finding that rhythm earlier in the game, figuring out, the matchups that you have in front of you, and how to take advantage of them. Obviously, adjustments are huge. Entering a game, you don't know exactly what the other team is going to throw at you, but you just have to trust in the talent that you have on the field and what you're able to do early on, and see what the defense is throwing at you and make adjustments as the game goes on. And I think what you saw, last week with out of South Range is what you want to see more of. You want to get them, they want to settle in earlier on and build a rhythm, build momentum, and that can do a lot of things as games carry on.
What game has you fired up for Friday? What's the game that is must see for Greg McAfee?
Well, I think I told you after these two teams played last time that Cardinal Mooney South Range was going to be. I wanted to see that in person. I was hoping for a rematch. That's one. I think Poland Liberty is another one. A team that we didn't get a chance to talk about, Crestview Garaway. I mean, Garaway is coming off of a win over Mineral Ridge, going against an undefeated, Crestview team. Obviously, Garaway has got a lot of history of success in the playoffs. They're a team that I think they played 3 YSN teams last year in the playoffs before South Range beat them. So that's another one. And then McDonald Warren JFK would be another one that I'd be interested to see. So there's a lot of games around the area that on Friday that are going to be really, really good. We're going to have a lot of really good football on ysnlive.com on Friday. So make sure you guys tune in. And I'm not talking to
plug.
I'm talking to everyone.
Nice plug, buddy. Greg, we stole some extra time from you. We apologize, but we thank you for spending some time with us today and breaking everything down for this Overreaction Monday. We're excited, man. We haven't really placed where you are, but whoever gets you, man, they're going to have fun because you're going to have some great shots. I guarantee it. And
Yes,
hey,
sir.
by the way, your story, incredible. Nice job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
you.
it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the guru, the professor, Mr. Greg McAfee. See you, pal.
Yeah, he's got it.
We got it. Best team we've ever had. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, I was sitting there last night thinking to myself, this is the strongest roster YSN has ever put together. We've got – I was listening to DK on that Liberty call. My guy might as well be Chris Berman. I mean, he just absolutely nuked it. Great job by him. Greg, I mean, and I'm not even saying this, like if you just appreciate pictures in general, just go look at them. Just, I mean, it's they're art. They're art. And we have some very talented photographers that we're associated with, too many to mention, but I will tell you that, like, he came to me and said, hey, I really want to do this. This is my passion. I will never hold anybody back from their passion. You know that better than anybody.
Right.
Go get it, pal. Go run it. The only thing the caveat was, hey, if we need you to be in the booth, he's like, without question. I don't know if he's a better broadcaster or photographer. He's that good at both. And his writing's incredible too. So happy.
It's not just a one-trick pony, not just a one-trick pony.
It's the G Pony Club. G Pony Club.
No, but like we have a lot of guys that do a lot of different things really well. I mean, Vince Tatey is a great writer, but he's also a guy that can get in the booth and do things. And I'm sure if you gave him a camera, he might be able to do some stuff with it too. I don't want to speak for him, but I feel like, when you come from that background, a lot of those guys have to take their own pictures when they go out and they're writing for the papers that they worked for in years past. So I'm sure he knows what to do with a camera.
I don't.
Greg also makes great highlights, by the way, that you see on our social media pages. Graphic department has gotten a lot better because they both make really great graphics. So we have a lot of guys who can do multiple things really, really well.
And by the way, they cover good teams. It helps. It helps when you got good teams to cover. And there's 3 different spots that Greg can end up. We talked about it last night. We're just waiting. We're waiting on the other shoe to drop because we've been playing defense for 9 years. Now we get to play a little offense.
Right.
A little Jordan Pippen action here. So we're waiting for it. Little buckets. By the way, I'm so happy to be home today and in my new setup. I got to get this microphone figured out. You can probably hear the refrigerator. It's like a little thing. Here. Shh. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I bet if I listened for it, maybe. But I haven't been able to. It's not as bad as the vacuum in athletics.
Oh.
So.
Chris Brooks, God bless him, was like, "Hey, is this going to bother you if I run this?" I was like, "Yes."
Yes.
I don't think he was. I don't think he was anticipating me saying yes, because he kind of looked at me and was like, "Oh, like
Oh, too bad."
you want the truth? Truth hurts." All in all, a great Friday night, a great weekend.
Great weekend.
All aboard for YSN.
We had, like I said, we had Beaver Local punch their first ticket to state in school history and girls soccer. Hoban girls soccer also going to state. They win their regional finals, and then Hoban volleyball also going to state as they win their regional final. And Beaver wins the WPIL for the second time out of the last 3 years. So we had a lot of success over the weekend. Football, volleyball, soccer. We had a lot of teams going down.
Across the board, and there's nothing better than that. And you know, the one thing that I always get so pumped about is, again, we can talk forever and ever about these all-star games, but I'll tell you that being able to help raise money for a good cause and showing kind of the way to do it, and the elite talent that we had on the floor last night, pardon me, it was second to none. And again, I've seen that gym jam-packed, but only for a number of things, mostly the rivalry, Salem and West Branch. But I'll never forget, I mean, when again, 2002. So that was what, 24 years ago-ish.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James comes in, and I looked. There was one moment last night where I remember when I was sitting in that gymnasium,
Right.
and I looked up there, and there's people there, just everywhere, and nobody complained about, you know, the $5 fee to get in. The shirts I thought turned out really nice, so thanks to 5-Star Graphics for that. But I will say this, that this is the most exciting portion of the year, because there's so much anticipation, because there's still meat left on the bone for the rest of the year. People are getting amped up for basketball.
Right.
The only thing that drives me nuts about the spring sports is there's such a finality at the end. Like, people are just gassed. I think announcers as well.
Right.
For, you know, everybody at YSN, we've some people only have one season. We have all seasons, and then you get there and you're like just limping to the finish line.
That's the unfortunate. Like, basketball season, we love it, but it is a long season. It's going to start before Thanksgiving, and it's not going to end until the middle of March. So it's a marathon, and if you don't have the endurance, you're going to be limping into spring. Like, oh, what just happened? And there's really not much of a gap between basketball and softball, baseball, because you really don't have a lot of time, because you want to get that season over before school ends in June, obviously. So the OHSA makes a real tight squeeze between basketball and spring sports, and
that's interesting.
It's tough on the people that cover it. That's for sure.
That's real interesting. That's just an interesting perspective, Anthony. I wonder why they make it so trim, as they say, so tiny. I wonder if the monetary value has anything to do with it. I don't know. But anyway, no, we're not going to get on them today. I mean, I think they did a good job. Their birthday party for week 1 was pretty good. And I haven't heard anything bad about the volleyball. I'll be honest. Because we're looking for it. We're looking for those little nuggets of, hey, OHSA, hey, we heard about that, you know,
right?
Nothing. Just the asinine stuff in week 10. That's all we heard about. That was it. But everything's kind of whistling past the graveyard right now. I will say this as well. I want to say thank you to the people that had patience on Friday night with the pay-per-view. It's not easy. It's not ideal for what we want to do. We've said that numerous times. And there's something that we're working on for the future that I think will make it a lot easier and a lot more palatable, because it'll be kind of a subscription plan. We don't have that right now. Please do not sign up for a subscription. We don't have it. But we only had a handful of complaints on Friday night, and a lot of them were admitted user error. So I was pretty pleased with the way things went, and certainly there was just a couple issues, minor technical difficulties
Right.
that we had to do, and we'll have them hopefully. I don't promise anything because you're dealing with technology. It's bound to fail, but it's one of those things like we tell our announcers, hey, 10 minutes before the game, make sure you're up, so everybody knows the game's on the right. Now, what I didn't think would happen happened, where people are like, the game hasn't started yet. Why not? We have zero control over that. Like if it's 6:42 and you're looking for the
Can you
game,
imagine if we did though? Guys, it's time to start.
ladies and gentlemen, go.
We had
Go.
red hats down on the field that would hold for
The orange
we're
gloves.
still in commercial. We're still in commercial.
We don't do
All right,
that.
go.
We don't cause any problems for that. Now, I will tell you, there are other entities that do that, and it is a real sore subject for some teams because there's built-in timeouts.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
like that, Ant. Not in high school. Do
Yeah,
not like that. I think when you're interfering with the game and the momentum
Yep.
of a high school game, it gets real tricky.
There are cons to TV, live TV.
Streaming, there's no cons.
Streaming, there's no cons.
Star Trek. That's Overreaction Monday.
Yeah, what a
That is
good
over-
one.
That was a good Overreaction Monday.
We
Which
have
means
almost
that
just as many games happening involving YSN teams in week 12 because of the bye weeks too. So it's not like I feel like normally this is like, okay, we have less and less every week, but now there's like almost just as many teams live still as there were in the last week because all the teams that lost kind of get replaced by teams that had buys.
so in theory, it is the same hello as it is goodbye, much like
Right.
aloha.
Hello.
You learned something new today, children. Aloha means hello and goodbye.
Yep.
Aloha. Let's go to
And
Hawaii.
Ohana means family.
Ohana means family, baby. And you know what? Joe Dickey Electric means? It means everything electrical.
Everything electrical.
And it means they're open for you. Yes, you. 24/7, 365, just like their friends over at YSN Live. You can go to DickeyElectric.com for all details and to make sure everything, commercial, residential, everything electrical is covered by Joe Dickey Electric. It's spark time, Ronnie. What do you got to zap me with today?
Hey, I want to give a shout out to some of the teams that were brand new to All-Star games last night, and they were some of the first teams to actually confirm their spot in the All-Star game. They were ultra excited, even though they don't have a full exposure of what YSN's about yet, but they were like absolutely the most excited teams there. Lordstown making their first All-Star appearance in the volleyball realm. You had Geneva coming to their first All-Star game total because they're a brand new team. You had Perry making their first volleyball appearance as All-Stars as well, because we had them for basketball last season. We didn't have them for volleyball. So all these teams are kind of new to the volleyball All-Star scene, being some of the most excited teams to be there. Some of them pretty far away. I mean, you talk about Perry to Salem. That's not a close trip, but they were some of the most excited people to confirm, yes, we're coming. So I give a shout out to all those teams that were just very, very stoked to be a part of this All-Star game. Obviously, everyone was, but the new teams that were there for the first time got to experience that for the first time. Thanks for coming first and foremost, because we do know that it's a hike to get to Salem. But also, welcome to All-Star Madness, and we hope that you're able to come back for basketball and baseball and softball in the next couple of All-Star games that we have.
Shout out quickly to you, man. I said, listen, it's your turn. You get to do this. You get to do, and you did incredible. I mean, 10 out of 10 across the board. Very well done, my friend. Being able to, from top to bottom, I mean, you created the logo, everything. You got to sit in the driver's seat for a while, and I think you just nailed it. You knocked it out of the park, and you did it all for the right reasons. So thank you very much. I appreciate all your efforts and time and resources that went to that game last night, because I get it. I understand it. It ain't easy. But I also want to give a shout out, because we don't have Friday YSN Live. I want to give a shout out to my daughter, who turned 4 on Friday. Yes, she's a Halloween baby. And boy, did she make out like a bandit. Every year we give her a shopping spree, and that cart. I'll tell you what, parents, if you're out there or you're thinking about being a parent, cut the shopping spree off at 3 years old, because at 4, they just put everything in the cart. They don't even know what it is. Like, there were things that I was like, what is this? I don't know. Mine.
I don't know. It looks cool. It's mine.
Cool. $300 later, she had a lot of toys. But no, in all seriousness, thank you. I know there was a lot of people. We put it on social media. It's what we do. Put it on my social media page. And last night there were a lot of people stopping her, wishing her happy belated birthday. And we're certainly grateful for that. And we're grateful for being a part of all of this. You know, it's not about, we really try hard not to make it about us. But over the course of 9 years, Ant, I think everybody's kind of started to welcome us into their families, and they're, you know, kind of the adopted of sportscasters or whatever, streamers of the area. And we're certainly grateful for that, because there's a lot of expectations, and to what's the quote, to which much is expected, much is given,
much is expected.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of where we're at, and we're learning too. We're only 9 years old when it comes to being a company, and we're still learning the ropes in a lot of different areas. So we appreciate just the patience, the kindness that people have shown, because it's always the silent majority that has our back. There's always going to be, you know, a couple people that they're just trying to get you all the time, which I get it. I understand it. The expectations are high, and trust me when I say it. So this is not just a tagline that we use for this show. We're going to try to get better every day, and that's what we do. But our number one mission, as we've talked about many, many, many times, not only this show, but in this community and with this company, is to provide a heroic sense of belonging for student athletes, coaches in their communities. And that is going to continue to be our number one mission, our number one goal, as we will continue to be your home for where heroes are always going to be welcome, whether they are on the field or off the field. We are so fortunate, excited, and blessed to be able to bring local high school and youth coverage around this region, around this country, and around the world to you each and every single day. And we thank you for that, because you're a big part of it. That's why it's your sports network. So that's going to do it for our show today. For Anthony Ronald Hartwig, my name is DJ Yokley. We will be better tomorrow. I promise it, because that's what we do. Ant, may sports be with you, pal.
And you, my friend.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of Your Sports Network. For stories, stats, and more, go to ysnlive.com.